So we're on chapter 29 in your American history book, section 4, the last section. And this section is going to be a little different. It's on technology and culture in the 1990s. And you can just see some of these pictures picked here, and you can see, the time of the boom box and the CD player, Discman you call it, the CD disc on, we had the Walkman back then. And you have here some of these, the touch, be able to touch, in GPS and things, the different things are happening in technology. And also the culture here, and you can see the culture going on in the 1990 culture with the kids during this time. So let's begin. Technology advances and new problems. So after the Cold War, America became the world's superpower. This allowed her culture and technology to spread all over the world, especially with the World Wide Web and more advanced computers such as these. We all had the World Wide Web, and this aided advancement of our culture. The whole world now could instantly retrieve America's technology and culture, but concerns developed about ethics and privacy. Cultural decay rose in several private sector scandals, plus a growing acceptance of immorality on the internet would happen, such things as pornographic materials. And so new internal problems, of course, then would be arising, right? You see here, World Wide Web, and be able to see something in an instant from the other side of the world. This is great advancement, especially during the 90s as it advanced each and every year, more advancements in technology of the internet, on the internet, information on the internet, and the World Wide Web. Information age. The cell phone became more affordable and less bulky, allowing it to be a priority in every household. 100 million in the year 2000 were subscribing to cell phones. So here's a picture of cell phones here. Here's the flip phone, and onto all of these different cell phones as they trying to get them lighter, and more, advanced technologies, as long and very affordable for the price. Affordable was the big thing. For every household to have one, they'd had to be affordable. So also CD and DVDs. CDs were compact discs and DVDs were the digital versatile discs. And these also went together with the digital camera. And so these became very popular during this time. RFID, radio frequency identification chips, could store digital information and allow the tracking of animals, and also the tracking of expensive equipment or valuable items so that you wouldn't lose them. So this RFID became a new type of identification on very small little chips. So they also could be used in the hands or arms of humans. But this raised new questions on infringements on people's privacy. Okay, you're going to come and put this in my hand? It tells all about me, or what? And this became, you think of Mark of the Beast in the Bible. You think, the Mark of the Beast, is this going to be a computer chip in our hand? So these became very controversial issues. Here we have the boombox CD player, and here we have the Discman here, and on to what was going on. But all of these advances were made in the 1990s, and so this era was termed the information age. So now we know even more since the 1990s how much further technology has even, now we don't really have to listen to DVDs and CDs, but this time these were very popular. Genetic research. Biotechnology achieved advancements in the 1990s. The Human Genome Project was in 1990 to 2003, and it gave the identification of human genes, aiding criminal forensics and medical treatment during this time. So Ian Wilmot led the genetic research in a sheep named Dolly, and this sheep was supposedly cloned in Britain in 1996. So here's a picture of the sheep Dolly cloned. Experiments were also explored with humans, leading to the bioethics concerns that scientists were playing God and that they're violating the sanctity of life. Also, GMOs, genetically modified organisms, were introduced in farming, leading to the demand for organic food then, food raised without modifications. So here we have genetic research. Here we have, of course, the DNA. We have the clone. Do we clone? Can we clone people? And people are thinking, what are we trying to play God in genetics? Here we have a picture of genetically modifying farming, organisms and farming and such as corn, and they're genetically trying to modify corn on the cob. All kinds of vegetables now, all kinds of plants. Here it says, say no to GMOs, choose organic. So people are thinking, I don't know if we want any of these genetically modified things in our body. Do we really want to eat a genetically modified ear of corn? I don't think so. So here we have up or down, genetically engineered things. Are they a good thing or are they a bad thing? So genetic research during 1990s. Space. The United States sent many satellites into space for military and civilian use. The space shuttle remained in use to conduct experiments in space and repair objects in space. So we had the space shuttle. In 1997, NASA landed Mars Pathfinder and its rover Sojourner, the first rovers to explore outside the Earth-Moon system. So on the planet of Mars. You have a picture of them. They look so funny, don't they? These little rovers and such. The rover and the Sojourner right there. They look like they're toys to me, like remote control cars or something. Here we have on planet Mars. And so here we have a picture of some of the satellites here. And now, if we look, all the satellites, all these satellites, we look up in the sky. We used to sleep outside on our deck at night on top of this mountain almost in the Sierra Nevadas, and we'd see all of the whole skies just filled with all kinds of satellites. And so there's many satellites going around the Earth. If you look up at night, you'll be able to see them. And some now satelliting even towards Mars and towards other planets, and satellites sent out. So here we have this is the space shuttle, and here's some of what the satellites look like. And NASA sending out all these. My husband says there's sure a lot of garbage in space. It's a lot of satellites up there. Corruption and cybercrime. So cybercrime, what's that? Well, it's crime by exploiting privacy weaknesses in the computer technology. It's computer crime. So people and businesses store so much of their records and personal information on computers that most cybercrime involves stealing information. So stealing, they put their records and their information on, especially banks and such, stealing this information, or even to the point of identity theft, Hacking. What's hacking? A crime by exploiting a computer weakness or network security weaknesses to gain unauthorized access. So they get in, somehow they can try to hack into banks. We had a lot in the 1990s, a lot of hacking done by a lot of young people. So many scam emails or malicious programs called viruses were sent out. So they sent out virus maliciously to destroy your computer. Once information was acquired by the cyber criminal, often it was sold or even used to impersonate the victim and exploit the victim's bank and credit cards. We know about this. This came to be called identity theft. And this cybercrime during this time, from 1990s up until this time, is very popular and continuing to grow. Here's a picture, like they're reaching in to your computer to get your social security number and your credit cards, you know. Cybercrime, getting in here. See here, here's a picture of a hacker, you know, that's what we think in our mind they look like, you know, but they don't look like that. They usually look like a young kid that knows how to hack into a computer program, a bank program or something, because they get so apt at in dealing with computers and technologies. Business scandals. In 1990, we saw a rise in white-collar crime, which are business-related crime, such as embezzlements and frauds. So embezzling, stealing money, and fraud, like stealing money from making records. You know, you're in charge of the recording in the midst of accounting, and as you're accounting, people were embezzling. A lot of people go to jail for that. Many American businessmen lost millions of dollars yearly through waste, inefficiency, and theft in the workplace. One example was the S&L, or Savings and Loans Crisis. This disreputable S&L, this savings and loan, they cost billions of taxpayers' money to be sent bailing out failed financial institutions. So basically, the savings and loans crisis, went through this whole thing, and the government came to bail them out. We have bailout here, and it cost Americans tons of money to be able to do this, for the government to bail them out. It was just a very disreputable. It was a horrible time. In fact, for the bailout of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, are the names of the ones that were bailed out during this time. And taxpayers have paid nearly $200 billion. It's the biggest bailout in history. Pretty sad. Culture in sports. Let's talk about sports during this time. The sports industry was also tainted by greed and degradation. So we have degradation and greed happening in sports. In the 1994 MLB players, we're talking about baseball players, strike canceled baseball's World Series for the first time because players' union and the MLB team owners refused to compromise on collective bargaining. So they were basically held a strike, during this time. And so all of, the players, not being able to play and the World Series being canceled, the fans were furious. Baseball fans were furious, viewing players and owners as being greedy. Attendance after that dropped by 20%, and the fans jeered at their players on opening day. It was then discovered in 2000 that players had been cheating too by using steroids to enhance their performance. Steroids had been used in several sports, but baseball was the hardest hit when they found out that steroids were being used by some of the most popular players. And fans were disheartened by the vast cheating going on, especially in baseball. Here we have some of the guys that were on the favorites, the idol stars of baseball that were taking steroids. And here it says, don't strike, please. Kids love baseball. Greed kills. So they we're looking at sports differently, especially what was going on in baseball. But, sports in the 1990s was tainted by these scandals and such, but there were still stellar athletic performances to be seen. And we have Michael Jordan in the Dream Team. Michael Jordan was born in 1963, and he brought the NBA, National Basketball Association, to the forefront of American sports, winning 6 championships, becoming the greatest basketball player of all time. So Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time. We know that. Here's Michael Jordan here. He came to the forefront. NBA players were finally permitted to play in the Olympics, and Jordan joined with an all-time great Larry Bird, all-time great Magic Johnson, all-time great Karl Malone, and others to represent the United States in the 1992 Olympic Games in Barcelona, Spain. The team dominated the competition and became known as the Dream Team. So we have Michael Jordan and the Dream Team here. And of course, they dominated as they were allowed to go into the Olympics now. The United States would dominate basketball in the Olympics. Other sports. So another sports star at this time was Jerry Rice. He lived 1962 and he was with the San Francisco 49ers. And he is often now considered the greatest wide receiver of all time. Here's a picture of Jerry Rice. In 1990s also saw the height of automobile racing, NASCAR, National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing, called NASCAR, expanded from regional sports to national competition. Here we have NASCARs. Soccer surged in popularity after the United States hosted the 1994 Men's World Cup and the 1999 Women's World Cup. And this established the United States in Major League Soccer, and they're Major League Soccer leagues now. So America's involved in soccer. But we also have gambling and immorality going on. Gambling was recognized as harmful to society, so it had always been governed by strict laws, strict local laws, strict state laws for gambling. These laws were relaxed when the states decided to raise money through state lotteries and casino gambling. So the legalized gambling spread into many parts of the country, bringing an increase in organized crime along with it. Pornography, films and books and pornography were legalized under the guise of freedom of speech. Homosexuals clamored loudly for minority privileges and the redefinition of marriage during this time too. So gambling and immorality were on the rise. The Y2K bug. Now we'll probably end with this. The Y2K bug. I remember the Y2K bug at 1999. You know the song, "You're Gonna Party Like It's 1999." Well, anyway, 1999 would bring in the year 2000. And my husband and I was all concerned, like, wow, we better go get some batteries and, toilet tissue and all these things because, Y2K may, cause all of the computers in the United States to fail, which meant, all of our grocery stores and everything else everything's run on computer. So I remember arguing with, he's like, nothing's going to happen. Although through his business, he ended up having to spend a lot of money to revamp computers. And that's what they were doing. Everyone was worried about the year 2000, the Y2K bug. So what was that? As the year 2000 came, Y2K, that's year 2000, approached, a curious situation developed in the United States and industrial nations. The computer programs had been designed, tracking the years with only 2 digits, like 95 for 1995. So many feared the so-called Y2K bug, because they did this, would result in worldwide power outages, system failures, and factory shutdowns, because computers couldn't recognize 00 to mean 2000. Instead, they would think it'd be 1900. So government and private companies spent billions of dollars to correct the problem. But many braced themselves for disaster on the eve of the new millennium, thinking, what would happen? Would everything shut down? Would our electricity shut down? Would our computers shut down? So since we're now becoming such a computer age and everything based on computer, would we be able to survive? So Y2K later became something of a joke in the panic. it inspired such a panic and left many wondering what the new millennium would actually bring. So every time I think of Y2K, then my husband and I, he's like, oh, what? That was such a joke. It was ridiculous we had to spend that money. We're all like going out there rushing around frantically, running around, and nothing happened, so, but now it becomes a joke. But you know what? There could have been a problem. So here's Y2K bug. Was it a real danger? Remember, turn off your computer before midnight on 12/31/99, which we did, 2000. January 1st, 2000, the day the earth will stand still. That came out, and everybody's like, it says banks will fail, food supplies will be depleted, electricity will be out, the stock market will crash, vehicles using computer chips will stop, telephones will cease to function, domino effect will cause a worldwide depression. And this came out, and I remember all this came out, but I brought this to my husband, brought it to Perry, and he's like, I don't think so. Throw that away, But anyway, things like that. Well, looking on, and you look, okay, what's going to happen? Everybody looked onto the millennium, which we did too, looking onto the new millennium and what would come. Now we're in the year 2024, and we're looking back. At that time, we were looking forward. What would happen in the new millennium? And we'll go on next to, we're going to go over the administrations of George W. Bush onto President Obama, and into even today, and going over President Trump. We're not going to get into the Biden presidency, is not enlisted in your book yet, but though that recent history you can kind of know because it's going on right now. So that's history. I liked to present it in the realm of looking at it in a Christian perspective. So let's stop there.